Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This is Professor Dr. Zia Ahmed. In my last lecture, you had understood the first half of the second speech of Saturn, and we had closed it with the kind of cry of Saturn where he said that farewell, happy fields, farewell, happy fields. And I must remind my students that this happy field is heaven, and he is saying farewell because he's unable to go back. He has to compromise. He thinks that there is no possibility of going back, and that is why he compromises on this situation. His compromise is again something very significant, because if you look at the text of the second speech of Saturn, the second half, he says, "Hail horrors, hail infernal word." Now, hail word here is not used in any other sense, only one sense is here, that he's welcoming. He's welcoming horrors, he's welcoming the infernal word. So, before going further, we should understand that the infernal word is hell, and that word is very really hellish because it contains all which is bad for humanity as well as for Saturn and his followers, because it has got only horrors in it, horrible situations in it, no pleasure, no coolness, no brightness, all whatever is bad is present there. That is why it is being told to be a horrible place, and Saturn is there to welcome this place. Because he's got no choice, because he cannot go back to heaven, because he has understood that the power of God is tremendous. It is so tremendous that he cannot compete with it. That is why he thinks that it's okay to stay here. And therefore he says, "Hail horrors, infernal word." And then he proceeds with the next coming lines by saying, "And thou, profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor." This is another sign of his show of confidence. For example, he says that hell, whatever you are, he addresses the hell directly by saying that you may be very deep, you may be very powerful, but I have come here and I am your new possessor. The word possess is used for something which belongs to you. No, hell does not belong to this Satan. Even heaven didn't belong to him. These are the things created by God. Without the will of God, nobody in this universe can claim the possession of anything. But Satan, being an obstinate creature, proud creature, says that he is going to possess this. So from now onward, he thinks that he is a kind of demigod in hell, and he will be taking care of that place. He will be present in that place. He will be available there, and he will be enjoying in his own way that place. That is why he says that, "Receive thy new possessor." Okay. So a sense of occupation, a sense of having possessed something is present here, even after he has lost everything. Now he tries to explain why he says this new possessor. He says, "One who brings a mind not to be changed by place or time. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven." Dear students, this is the most famous line from Milton, which he uses in the second speech of Saturn, that mind is its own place, can make a hell of heaven and heaven of hell. So according to him, this hell is just a mental state of affairs. And even if you are in hell at that time, if you want with your mental power, you can think that you are not in hell. It means you can adjust in such a way that your presence in that hellish place may not be that painful for you. And the same Saturn says he will do, because according to him, it is only the mental condition. It is only the understanding. It is only the way how you take the things. If the place is bad, but you adapt to that place, adjust in that place, it can be not less than heaven. It cannot be hell for you in that way. Well, this is the kind of philosophy which can also be understood if we think about hell, for example. As it is said that all bodies will not be there, it will be souls there, and the souls definitely are not the kind of things that can receive punishment in the same way as human body can receive punishment. So that is why souls will have a different type of punishment. And if the soul does not accept that punishment, if the soul thinks that it will stay there, it has to absorb that, that may not be the kind of place where pain may be happening in very severe way. That is adaptability. So Saturn says that he will be thinking not in physical terms, but in the mental terms. In other words, he says that he will readjust himself, he will adopt himself into that environment where he will be comfortably present all the time. So that is why he says that he has got a mind which does not change. He has got a pride which doesn't change. He has got a will, an intention, and a kind of personality which does not change with passage of time. Although this big loss, after suffering this big loss from heaven to hell, he should have changed, but he does not. And he claims rather that I'm the one whose mind does not change at all. So in that way, he's trying to establish his power of the mind by saying that it's not possible that he may change at all. So that is why he claims this kind of thing, that one who brings a mind not to be changed by time or place. So according to him, if the time changes, it doesn't matter for him. If the place changes, it doesn't matter for him. Because of these two things, time changes everything. In this world also, you can see you are young, but one day you will become like me. This is the effect of time. And place also puts some effect on us. That if you live in, for example, cold place, your body behaves in a different way. If you live in hot place, your body behaves in a different way. So place and time are important. But Saturn says that his mind cannot be changed with the change of time and place. Such a proud person is going to be, and such a type of confidence he has. And he quotes the reason also that, okay, mind can think whatever the way mind can think. He says that if the mind is there to adjust, that is why his mind is there to adjust in that environment. He will adjust in a very better, very good way. And this is what he tries to claim in this part of the poem. The ending portion of this poem also, he says that, and what I should be, no, not this, but going back to the possessor kind of thing and the mind kind of thing that we have analyzed, he says, what matters where if I be still the same, and what I should be all but less than he whom thunder hath made greater. Now he takes another clue in order to prove that he's going to be a far better person as compared to God, or at least he will be able to say that he is also the possessor, he is also the God, he is also the person who is equal to God. Nauz he is saying all these words in his pride, and he says that as God rules in heaven, he will rule in hell. He is, according to him, he's so proud, he thinks that God is not that powerful. He has become powerful only because of the weapon of thunder. And this he puts question mark also, that is it also right that he became powerful only because of thunder? If thunder was not there, if thunder was in his hands, God may not be that powerful. So this is the way how Satan thinks in order to, tell his people, tell his followers. That is the kind of imaginative story we are reading at this moment by Milton. And Milton is portraying the character of Satan to be very proud. And when somebody is very proud at that time, such sentences definitely come outside the mind of that person. So we should not take Satan as somebody who can equate God or who can challenge God. No, not at all. In fact, the story is going on like that, and we don't have that heavenly bodies or personalities with us. We can understand it only in human terms. So as in the human world, for example, if there is somebody proud and he may be addressing the superior people or the people who are more powerful than that person in these terms as Satan is trying to address. So Milton's purpose is to make us understand what might have happened or what kind of situation was present in hell because of that Satan became in such a situation. So just to make us understand, human terminology is being employed by Milton with his grandest possible style. Let us proceed further and try to understand more till the end of this poem, this part of the poem. He says, here at least we shall be free, the Almighty hath not built here for his envy, will not drive us thence. He gives another excuse that he will be happy here. He says that God has not created anything here. God has not built anything here. If we use that thing, he may not be envious as well. So we shall build our own here, and that is why it is good that Almighty will not come here or will not put us away from that place. Now he uses the word Almighty. Now see how contrasting is his claim and the words which come from his mouth. On the one hand, he was saying he's equal, but on the other hand, he says Almighty. And when we say Almighty, it means that the only one personality is there in the whole of the universe which is powerful. Nobody can compete and fight and challenge his authority. So that is why two contrasting shades keep on working in the mind of Satan. That on the one hand his pride is there, on the other hand his acceptance of the defeat is also there. He continues, look at the text, students. He continues, here we may reign secure, and in my choice to reign is worth ambition, though in hell, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. And that is the second proverbial kind of statement which Milton gives to us through the mouth of Satan, that he says that in his view, in Satan's view, ruling, governing, or being superior is the better idea as compared to serving. And he says, therefore, to rule in hell is better than living a life of slavery in heaven. This is something which can be understood in very easy terms by thinking that if you are living with yourself, अल्लामा इकबाल की जो खुदी है, जिसको वो कहता है कि खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा खुद बंदे से पूछे, उस खुदी के हिसाब से we think the Satan is saying that, or Milton is saying that where you can maintain your khudi or maintain yourself and the selfhood in such a way that you feel proud, that place is better, even if it may be full of troubles and pains. And on the other hand, if there's a good place where enjoyment is there, where pleasure is there, but you have to live a life of slavery, that Milton says is not better. Perhaps this he says about himself also, because Milton was, arrested because of his beliefs when he was living in England, and he's therefore saying, okay, it's not okay that he should be feeling sad because he's living according to his belief, according to his self, and that is why he says, and therefore he speaks out these famous sentences where he says, to reign is worth ambition, though in hell, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. So that is something, greatest possible thing which he says, and that is the guidance for the human being as well. How does he behave? Although it's uttered through Satan, but it is the saying, it is the writing, it's the opinion of Milton himself. Now the ending lines of this whole thing, but wherefore let we then our faithful friends, the associates and co-partners of our loss, lie thus astonished on the oblivious pool, and call them not to share with us that part in this unhappy mansion, or once more with rallied arms to try what may be yet regained in heaven, or what more lost in hell. This is the plan actually of Satan. He is telling to his comrade Beelzebub that, okay, what we shall be doing now, we should address now to our followers who are lying in the liquid fire of hell, and they are oblivious and they are unable to realize where they have come, and they don't know what is going to be their future. And that is why he says to Beelzebub, his assistant, that they should go forward to them and wake them up and prepare for war. For war again. What type of war? Nobody knows. As he's defeated, everything is gone, and still he's thinking about fighting. So courageousness of Satan as a character can also be found here, that he needs to make a new plan. He says that he will live in this area. He will make an army, and with the help of that army, he will be able to someday defeat or regain his place. Now, God can be requested only. God can be supplicated, or he can be prayed to, that he may be giving space to us people in heaven. Nobody can fight with God. Nobody can challenge. Nobody can demand as a right that he needs to go to heaven. No one can do so. But Satan says so. So this is the pride of Satan. And the character created by Milton is therefore very powerful character, that in worldly sense we can understand what kind of qualities he has. So dear student, this was the second speech of Satan from Paradise Lost. One more lecture will be on Paradise Lost, and after that we will shift to book 9 of this writer, this poet, John Milton. So far, this speech is about the Satan's character. First speech also, second also. So you can trace some of the characteristics from here and use the sentences of these speeches in order to make your assignments on Satan's character in Paradise Lost. So thank you for watching me. Hope to see you soon.